G'day guys, welcome to another edition of Aussie Boxing Talk. Of course, I'm your old mate Big J, and today we have another special guest, 1996 Olympian at welterweight, Lynden Hosking, and the owner, director, proprietor, whatever you like to call it, of Boxing Deep Dive. G'day mate, how are you? Welcome to the show. This is a change. You're on my show for a change.
Yeah, good. About time you had me on.
Oh, fair enough, mate. I've only been doing it for a couple of times. So
All good.
it's good to have you here, mate. So we're going to talk about a couple of things first, but I think we need to get into it with the serious topic that everyone's talking about. Why does that chump keep ducking me?
I don't know, mate. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure he'll come to his senses one day.
Oh, mate, I'm getting sick of him. He's ducking me. He won't give me the payday. He's avoiding it like the plague. It's getting beyond the joke. I mean, I think because he knows I'm going to knock him out in 30 seconds, he doesn't want to get embarrassed. So.
Oh no, he looks in pretty good nick. Last time I saw him, just be careful what you wish for sometimes.
Oh, mate, I got 20 kilos on him. I'll knock him out quick as a light. But anyway, shout out to the chump. He's a good friend of ours. But seriously, mate, things are looking good. Things are looking good for Australian boxing at the moment. I mean, Justice. Sorry, go ahead.
Sunday, aren't they? Yep.
Oh, mate, Justice Hooney has got his fight with Fabio Wardley coming up. I think it's on June 7th, if I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I just done a video of T Street literally an hour ago about that. I think Justice is going to probably get beat by Wardley because he's just got that power. If he can avoid the power, I think Justice can win on points by using his IQ because his footwork and his hand speed's ridiculous. But there are a lot of issues with Justice's power because of his hands. He's had 3 hand surgeries so far.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I mean, what's your thoughts? I think if he can avoid the power, he can get it done. But I also see Wardley possibly knocking him out. What's your thoughts?
I don't think Wardley knocks Hooney out. I actually think Hooney's a really good chance to win. The only thing that I don't like always, is when they go to someone else's backyard. They pretty much given the opposition 25 to 30% extra sort of advantage, I reckon. But no, look, I think Justice Hooney can win the fight. I think he's so talented. I know there's the issue about the power, but I don't read too much into the lack of power. I really don't. Some of the best fighters in history haven't been big punchers. So I just think with his speed, with his hands, his footwork, his volume of punches that he throws, his work rate, not many heavyweights could go with him. I think he's a big chance, but as I said, I think the only thing I don't like is the fact that it's in England, but I'm still backing him to win the fight.
I'm just concerned because I think if Wardley catches him, he's in trouble because Justice being caught a couple of times and a couple of times by some blown-up cruiserweights. I'm actually quite concerned that if a full-fledged heavyweight gets a hold of him, it might end badly for him.
It's always a danger, isn't it? But at the end of the day, he's got to still land it. You're right, he has been rocked a couple of times in his fights, but look, it doesn't matter whether they're a world beater or a journeyman. If you get caught, it's going to hurt. But no, look, you're right. It's definitely a question that needs to be asked, but I still think Justice can do it.
Yeah, I do too. I said on T Street's video, I hope he kicks the living daylights out of him. But he has to prove it in the ring. But on to further things. The No Limit show, you did your great commentary, of course, the other night on your deep dive show. I forgot to watch it. I forgot you were even doing it. Sorry, mate. I was going to come on.
Took the hit, paid the $50.
Oh, look, these pay-per-views aren't worth $20. I mean, seriously. I refuse to believe that. And here's the other problem that I wanted to bring up with you. You know how many pubs in Victoria were showing that thing? 1.
Well, we didn't.
1. 1 pub somewhere in Reservoir, which is like an hour and a half from where I am. So that gives the indication that I don't know how No Limit are making money off these Sam Goodman shows because he's just not a seller.
No, he's not. And the fact that Harry Garside was on the undercard, they really needed a sort of a crowd puller. But when you think about it, the only real crowd pullers for the pay-per-views are the Zoo Boys. That's probably about it.
Exactly. And
that's the problem. I mean, they did Jarvis and Thurman. I'm not sure what the numbers were on that, but I don't think it would have been great because, we all know the real, keen boxing fans know who Jarvis is and especially Thurman, but geez, the average guys out there, the average punters out there just wouldn't have a clue who Jarvis is. So we put the fight on in our pub and probably had about a dozen people. That's it. So
yeah, exactly. And that, as you said, like those cost pubs anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500 to put those events on.
Oh, not that much. Probably about 700 it was.
Okay,
but still, when you've got to pay a staff member to be there, you've got to literally make $1,000 profit just to cover your ass, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been well versed in the pub game. I've worked in pubs on and off for 15, 20 years, so I know how it works. But yeah, I mean, that should have just been a Fox Sports show. There's no way in hell that they can justify a 70, how much was it? $50 did you say?
50 bucks, yeah.
50, even for that. I mean, Sam Goodman is not a ticket seller. I mean, he's a good fighter, but he's incredibly flat in the ring. Like, let's say boring in the ring, because he doesn't light the world on fire with his boxing ability. He gets the job done, but it's not like he's knocking all these guys out in 2 rounds to make him exciting. He's not a crowd pleaser, but it's a funny one. I actually didn't mind the fight. I mean, it was an interesting one because Sam Goodman was coming forward for most of the fight, really pushing the pace. The problem was he wasn't throwing any punches, and Barker was on the back foot, sort of moving and jabbing and not really doing anything. It was really just a nil-all fight. But but I look at the pay-per-views, by the way, I've broken down not just, okay, you're right, on paper it's not worth $50. But I look at it, okay, well, even if you went to the pub, you've got to fork out money for drinks and food, and if you obviously go to the event, it's probably a couple of $100 for a ticket, and you've got your accommodation and flights and all that sort of stuff. I see it as $50, no different to going out for a meal or something like that, although you're not going to get much for $50 these days if you go out for a meal either, are you? But, I don't know. I mean, I know it's the cost of living and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty hard these days, but I didn't have much of a problem paying $50. So what wasn't a bad night of fights overall. Yeah, I mean, the heavyweight fight turned out to be one of the best fights we've seen in quite a while. Yeah, but, didn't they do Jasmine Parr a disservice? They can't feed her. They can't give her one-sided mismatches. It does nothing for her. And she wasn't even on the main card. That's another thing I couldn't get over.
Exactly. I said myself on my videos, I said, well, she would have been better off doing a 5-minute pad session out the back. I don't understand. Look, we do all understand that she's a no-limit fighter, but you're right, she wasn't on the main card. So, okay, if they're trying to really showcase her on the main card and get her out to all and sundry and, try and get her a bit of a following, okay, well, maybe you do what you're going to do. But, mate, she was buried deep on the prelim card. It just had no relevance. And there was 10 fights or something on the card. If she hadn't been on there, it wouldn't have mattered. I think they should have just took her off and put her on another card in another month or two's time. I mean, there's plenty of shows to get on during the year. And better yet, should have fought Shannon O'Connell, but that's another story. But, mate, to go through the whole process of getting her a visa, flying her out here, so all the accommodation and airfares and all the rest of it, Jazzy Parr, all the trouble to get her hair braided and her hands wrapped and the outfit made and all the rest of it, to go in there and have that happen, mate, it was a waste of time, waste of money, and I just expected a hell of a lot better from Australia's premier promoters to put that shit on TV, whether it's on the pay-per-view portion or the free portion. And when you think about it, putting it on the free portion was even, or the free broadcast was even worse, because that meant everyone could watch it, at least with the pay-per-view, with a very, very minimal audience that would have seen it. So I just expected a hell of a lot more from No Limit. I would have thought, and I'll ask you the question, if Jasmine Parr had been on there in a 10-round Australian title fight against Shannon O'Connell, would have maybe just persuaded you to maybe part with $50 to watch it? I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, I'm sure there would have been some people out there that would have said, yeah, you know what, not a bad card with those 3 sort of main fights, and there I will pay the $50, but to put her on there in a nothing fight and a 5-rounder that went, about a minute, just absolutely ridiculous, and No Limit should be embarrassed to put that on one of their shows.
And absolutely, and here's the other thing that I brought up on your show the other day, they let Desley Robinson slip through their fingers. They should be building a brand around her. So, I mean, she won the belt on their card last year when she defeated Kay Scott for the vacant IBF title. She's got 2 belts, and she's got 2 belts, and they're I see that No Limit are doing missed opportunities because they had a missed opportunity with Jazzy. They've missed out the boat on Desley Robinson because I'm sure someone else is going to snap her up now. I mean, they could build brands around her. I mean...
Yeah, some of their decision-making is very questionable. I mean, that card that they put on, 10 fights in total, and the whole card was... Like, I just reckon they could have got rid of a couple of those sort of prelim fights and put the money into someone like Desley Robinson. And she's a really, really good character she is. And I'm a big fan of Desley Robinson. I think she comes to fight. She's got a really good... as I said, personality. She's a real working class type of person, and with everything they've done in Australian boxing, No Limit, they've never gotten behind women's boxing in entirety. I know they have female boxers on their cards, but apart from actually that Robert Desi and Kay Scott fight, they've never really put on big female fights on their cards. I just think they missed an opportunity there. And then you think that, they had about, 4 rounders, a couple of 6-rounders, whatever, the other night. They could have easily just got rid of a couple of those and added it to the card. So, I don't know, it's puzzling sometimes. They do a great job, No Limit. But tell you what, they leave you scratching your head sometimes with some of the
all promoters. All promoters do that.
Right, all promoters,
I mean, some of the things, I can't pinpoint anything Bob Arum's done where I've scratched my head, but Eddie Hearn, bloody hell, he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde one day. I mean, one day you're praising him, you're going, yeah, Eddie. Next day you're going, what the hell are you doing, Eddie? You're a bloody idiot. And I think Frank Warren's always been pretty solid. I mean, Bob's always been pretty solid. Don't get me started on, what's his name, the bloke who runs PBC.
Al Heyman.
Yeah, don't get me started on him.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I was in Vegas once for a big fight. They had another fight night on at the Palms there by Top Rank, and they had a super fight, a light flyweight women's fight as the main event. I thought it was great. The fight was brilliant. I can't remember who it was. It was a Sinisa Estrada or whatever her name was, but mate, rip a fight, packed crowd, and it was a light flyweight female world title fight as the main event. And then I think they did it the other week too, didn't they, with Sandy Ryan and who did she fight?
There was the rematch, Sandy Ryan and
Michaela Mayer.
That's the one.
That's the one. On a Top Rank card. So they're doing their part. Even old mate Jake Paul's just signed up a couple of more, Chantel Cameron and Savannah Marshall, and Holly Holm as well. So everyone's doing their part overseas. I just think here in Australia, No Limit, we've got, I won't say they've got a monopoly because Tasman and Matchroom are sort of doing their thing on DAZN as well, but they've got such a platform to get behind the girls. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive supporter of the females, just really the top-level girls. But, mate, there's some really good fighters here in Australia. And just makes you wonder, we've got Shanika Johnson, Shay Keneally, we had Sky Nicholson, and Ebony Bridges, all were world champions, and No Limit had none of them. They hadn't got behind either of them, or none of the four. So, I don't know, I just think, again, as much as good as they're doing in the sport, there's just a gaping hole there of not getting behind the good females. And it's not like we haven't got any elite females out there. We've got a swag of them. So I don't know why they don't make it a priority, put them on. Because of those 11 fights that were scheduled, I know the Ahmed Redder fight fell over. But out of the 11 fights, only one of them was a female fight, and it was just a 5-rounder on very deep down on the prelim card. So
which lasted 90 seconds. So
especially when they had Shannon O'Connell pretty much, screaming for the fight. And Shannon's not normally the type that gets on social media and has a lot to say about her opponents, but she has been vocal about this. I still don't know. It just would have been a great fight to have, and Jazzy Park can get on camera and say, it's up to my team and this and that. No, if she wanted that fight, the fight could have been made. Simple as that.
That's the one thing I can't stand about boxers is when they ask who you're going to fight next and they say, that's up to my team, mate. You're the one in the ring going to get your head punched, and I think you have a pretty big say. So
it's a cop out. That's all it is. It's a cop out saying, look, we want this fighter, but not that fighter. That's what it is. And look, as I said, Shannon's been very vocal about wanting the rematch. She's training. She's got no fight lined up. She would have stepped in because the first girl that Jazzy was supposed to fight, she fell out, I think, a couple of weeks before the event. Shannon's like, hey, okay, I'm ready. And they still didn't go for her. They could have saved all that airfares, accommodation, visas, all the meal money, all that sort of stuff. and Shannon just would have flown down from Queensland, stepped straight in, and for whatever reason, they've decided not to do it.
I think maybe they didn't want Jazzy losing again.
Exactly, yeah, 100%.
Because I think I didn't like that fight from the get-go when Jazzy fought Shannon, because it was a lose-lose, and it turned out to be that way. If Shannon won, okay, she beat a novice. If Jazzy won, she beat a woman who's literally old enough to be a mum. So there was never going to be a winner in that fight. I didn't like it. If I had a draw, I didn't have either girl winning. So,
but it deserves a rematch, mate. And this is the thing I said as well with Jazzy Parr, continuing to go on about I was ripped off and that sort of thing. Why wouldn't it give you even more reason to want the rematch?
Exactly.
To say I want Shannon O'Connell. I thought I won the fight. I want the rematch. But she's continuing to carry on about her getting ripped off, and then fights a 9-9 Thai who'd been knocked out 5 times. Just
well, exactly my point. Because if she never fought Shannon in the first place, she wouldn't have to resort. No Limit wouldn't have to resort to giving her a Thai girl to knock out 90 seconds to get her confidence back up. So
well, mate, we've been through this so many times with promoters. And when I was around, it happened a lot. I was hoping this thing about, I'll just bring a Thai out for an easy kill for some undercard fight, or even sometimes the main event. I thought we'd gotten past that, even just with the lesser promoters out there. The fact that the biggest promoter in Australia is doing it with a clear conscience, as I said before, mate, they should be embarrassed. That's linked to them in any way.
Well, I mean, I don't want to blow smoke up my own ass, but me and the chump would have put on a better bloody fight. So
you would have, mate, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, mate. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, mate, look, any novice boxer in Australia, some female boxer that's probably done 3 weeks worth of training would have beaten that Thai girl. And that's just what makes it worse.
That's for sure. So let's talk about Sam now. I've always said, and I'm going to stick to it, I'm going to die on my sword on this one. If Sam ever fights Inoue, which I don't think he will, I think that fight is done. I don't think he's ever going to get it, because I believe Inoue will move up the featherweight probably within the next 12 to 18 months. Inoue murders him, because Sam did not look that flash against old mate the other night. I mean, he got the job done. He always does. Sam always gets the job done, but he doesn't get it done in a fashion to say, yes, he's a danger to Inoue.
Yeah. Look, I've got to probably agree with you there. And look, one thing, and I've been again vocal about this, one thing I will not cop from anyone is that Sam, was looking for a way out of the Inoue fight.
Bullshit.
No professional fighter worth anything is going to turn down an opportunity to fight for the undisputed title, especially for $1 million. So I don't buy that.
No. There's no way Sam would have. I mean, I still say Sam would have got friggin' his head knocked off, but there's no way he would have turned down that opportunity. No way in hell.
No. Look, I think the one thing you got to look at with Sam is, and don't get me wrong, I don't think he beats Inoue by any stretch. I think Inoue could probably end that whenever he wants to. But the one thing he's got to keep in mind is that Sam's more of a natural boxer. He likes to be on his toes a little bit, give angles. He likes to use his jab and move and angles and all that sort of stuff. The other night against Vaca, surprisingly being a Mexican, it was Sam Goodman who was pushing the fight and pushing him back, and it was Vaca who was trying to box him. So I think the only... I agree with you that Sam didn't look great, by the way, or the whole fight was a bit average, but I just think, at least with Inoue's going to come at him, so at least he could probably get on his bike. But the only problem is I don't think that's actually a good thing if you got Inoue who takes centre ring and dictating the pace. I just think you talk about lack of power before with some of the fighters with Justice, and I'm sure Harry's in there as well, Harry Garside. The one thing you need, I think, against someone like Inoue is a bit of pop in your punch, because if you don't, it's like throwing, having a pea shooter against a tank, because he's just not going to be able to keep him off. But I've just got a feeling in that fight that Inoue would probably play with him for 3 or 4 rounds. Sam would probably have some success with his moving and boxing, but then, like he's done in a lot of his fights, as soon as he stepped it up, I think it'll be all over. And the thing you got to remember in this fight as well, Inoue's been dropped a couple of times against punches. So, unfortunately, Sam Goodman hasn't got the punch to be able to do that. So that's not going to happen. So that's why I just think that I reckon it'll be a fifth or sixth round stoppage. A fifth or sixth round stoppage, but in a way, unless you decided to put the pressure on early.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a damn shame because we don't want to see our Aussie boys and girls go overseas and get annihilated, but unfortunately, that is the reality of the sport. Is that in a way is a lot of people would argue that he's the number one fighter in the world. He's certainly well, he's top 4, easy,
top three.
Top three. I mean, Usyk is number 1 in my opinion. Then you'd probably have to throw Canelo in there, and then you've got, in a way, number 3. Bivol will be number 4, and Crawford, as you said, number 5 because he's just been too inactive. Yeah, I mean, but I don't see it going well for him if he ever gets a fight at all. But I think what he needs to be doing to make his case is start fighting Inoue's opponents, the ones that he's already beaten. It's like the Nearies and who's the other bloke he just knocked out?
Cardenas.
Yeah, all those blokes that Inoue's bumped off, Sam should be going, right, I'll fight these blokes next, because that way it'll start building the case that Sam is a threat to Inoue. But
yeah, I'm with you there, actually. I think that could be a bit of a strategy. I mean, it is fraught with a little bit of danger, of course, because if he's ranked number 1 by a couple of the organisations, and if maybe he jumps in with one of those guys, it's a pretty risky fight. But on the other hand, if he does beat one of those guys, well, maybe he just gets thrown back in the sweepstakes again, and in a way starts looking at it. The problem is, of course, he's got Nick Ball lined up, and then he's got Nakatani lined up, and he's got
MJ, whoever MJ is.
Sorry, MJ's first. Yeah, sorry, yeah. MJ, then Nick Ball, then
Nakatani next year. Yeah.
And then you would think he will move up to, well, if he fights Nick Ball, it'll be at 126 anyway, won't it? But either way, I mean, I'm not a big one for Inoue moving up. By the way, I think he should stay where he is with fight Nakatani, and then maybe look at Rodriguez as well. But I understand that he's looking at that sort of fifth division, whatever it is. So,
yep, it'll be fifth. Yep, because he 108, 118, 122, and that's only 3.
I thought he was...
No, I'm pretty sure he went from 108 straight to bantamweight. No, 108, 118, 122.
He did skip a division, didn't he?
He skipped 2. He skipped 2 because he didn't go... He didn't fight 112, 115. I'm pretty sure he went from 108 straight to bantamweight.
I'm looking at there. So look at his box rate. 108. He did fight at 115.
Oh, he did, but it wasn't a world title.
Yeah, it was WBO.
Okay, it was.
So that was 115, and then 118, and then 122. Yeah. So 4 divisions.
4 divisions, yeah. And if he goes to 126, it'll be 5. So yeah. But I think, and I think I said this on your show on Monday. If Jinto Nakatani lands on one on him, I don't think he's getting back up.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, the thing is with Inoue, everyone's just he'll just win by knockout. He'll win by knockout. I just think Nakatani, that's the fight. Look, I actually think Nick Ball's pretty risky as well, just because of being a really strong sort of featherweight and the way he fights and can be pretty durable. And I don't think, especially at 126, it's arguable whether Inoue could knock someone like Nick Ball out, who's just a really nuggety type of strong fighter. But I think Nakatani, look, as we've seen, Inoue can be loose and he can be careless. Yeah, and he can be dropped, more importantly.
Nakatani's not like that.
No, Nakatani obviously can punch. He's not careless, and he's very precise. So I think he's a live chance against Inoue. I wouldn't underestimate him at all. And I don't want to. It's easy just to say, well, Inoue just beats them all, but at some stage, someone is going to beat him. I guarantee someone will beat him. And if it's going to be anyone for me, it's Nakatani. And
Nakatani's also bigger and got a longer reach than Inoue too. He's
taller. He is, yeah. Well, he's a natural sort of 118er, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure... How old is tall? Isn't he like 5'8"? He's a big bantamweight. He's pretty tall.
Nakatani, yeah, he's quite tall. Yeah.
I think he's got 3 or 4 inches on Inoue. Easy.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually, yeah. Yep.
Because the way that he almost decapitated Andrew Maloney, Jesus, that was hard to watch. But
it was. I was in the arena that night and had seen a bit of Andrew, obviously, in the training camp, and it was tough to see. I'm just looking at Nakatani now. He's 5'8".
Yeah, I was going to say, he's 5'8", and Inoue's only 5'5", 5'4". He's only tiny.
Yeah, 5'5", yeah. So he's got 3 inches on him and a fair bit of reach.
Yeah, so I think Inoue could be in a little bit of trouble with our old mate Nakatani. Yeah, I mean, It's a bit sad because I don't think Sam. I think in a way Sam Goodwin, people need just to forget that. The only way Sam's going to get a title is when Inoue moves up and Sam fights for a vacant one. He ain't going to get that shot now. That's not.
No, I would think so too. Yeah, but that looks not a bad thing. I mean, I know Sam would love to fight Inoue. I mean, Jason Maloney did it, the other Aussie, so that would be great. But I think that's what will happen. I think that Sam will just probably wait it out. I think at some stage there'll be a sanctioning body that will strip him. It'll just happen. I mean, he's done so. Yeah, well, he's done so well to retain all the bouts so far, hasn't he? Because Crawford, Canelo, and Usyk, none of those could keep the undisputed title for very long whatsoever. So the fact that Inoue's had him for a couple of years now, it's a credit to him. But I just think at some stage that they'll strip him. I'm just looking at the rankings at the moment. You've got. With his super ban on weight. So he's ranked number 1 by the IBF. Tapales is the next, Marlon Tapales is the next highest ranked guy. So that'll be a winnable fight for Sam. He's ranked number 2 by the WBO. He's ranked 4 by the WBC. And I don't know what's going on with the WBA, but he's not ranked at all by the WBA. No Aussies, I don't think, apart from Michael Zarafa, are ranked by the WBA. So
well, the less said about...
they've got something against us at the moment.
No, the less said about the WBA. Don't forget Justice is fighting for the interim title at WBA. So, the heavyweight title.
Yeah, it is actually, yeah. Is it the WBA? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Cause, I did the video of T-Street about an hour ago, and I said, you sure it's not the WBA? He goes, no, it's the WBA. And I just shook me bloody head. I'm like, the less said about the WBA, the better. They're a bloody mess. That's
yeah, they are. They are. Well, at the moment, he's ranked. Yeah, his Justice is number 9. I think he had to give up the WBO Global title to be ranked by the WBA. But you are right. So he's fighting Wardley. Michael Hunter was the next highest ranked guy, but I think he's fighting someone else as well, isn't he? I did see the other day he's fighting somebody. So yeah. So but yeah, I think that's Sam's best opportunity at 122. I mean, if he hangs around at until Inoue's gone, he could fight a Marlon Tapales for the IBF belt, or he could fight, who's that, Carl James Martin. I don't know, I've never heard of him, but he's the number 1 ranked WBO contender. So yeah, there's some possible fights out there for him. The WBC as well, you've got Picasso, Tapales, and Neary ahead of him as well. So,
Well, let's talk about, surprisingly, he got mentioned the other day. We haven't heard a peep except for the other night from Liam Paro. What's going on with him?
Well, apparently he's fighting in Cairns in June. No, it's not June. I think it's... Is it going to... August, is it?
Originally, I heard June 11th he was supposed to fight in Cairns, but that's been pushed back like 3 weeks. So... Yeah.
I know they had to shuffle the deck chairs a little bit because of Tim's fight in Vegas. They had to shuffle their dates around a little bit. But, what is that? Only, 3-4 weeks away, isn't it? So...
Well, today's the 16th, so we're talking probably about 6 weeks away, I reckon.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure, but I think that is going to happen. It's going to be in Cairns. I think they were talking about Nikita Tszyu being on that card, although with Tim's fight in Vegas, and he's had the hand problems as well, I reckon they might leave Nikita out for a little longer, but there is talk that maybe Liam Wilson will be on one of those cards as well. So, yeah, plenty going on anyway.
So let's talk about Tim's fight now. The rematch for Fundora will happen for the WBC Super Welterweight title over in Vegas. I've got it, I think we discussed it the other night, I've got it a full 50-50 fight because Fundora's having a full camp, Tim's having a full camp, and Fundora has learnt to fight as a 6'5" man rather than a 5'7" man. And that is dangerous for Tim because all Fundora has to do is throw out that jab all night, keep away from him, and if Tim can't get near him, Tim can't land anything on him. But,
I'm with you. Yep.
But having said that, the second Tim gets inside of him, Tim will break his ribs and uppercut his head off. So
yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of probably not the average Australian who just thinks this is going to be a cakewalk based on 2 rounds from the first fight.
Bullshit.
I think most people that know a bit about boxing in agreement that this is a tough fight for Tim. Look, I do think that Tim, I did read the other day, he said there's no emotional scars, and of course there's not. Why would there be? He got hit with an accidental elbow and got cut. So I don't think it's going to have any long-lasting scars. It'd be different if he was fighting Murtazalia because he's coming up against someone that absolutely obliterated him last time. But I just think in this case, I think it'll be right. But I'm with you. Like, they're both. It's not just Tim that's getting a good camp this time. It's actually Fundora as well. He had to switch opponents too, which a lot of people don't remember. But I just think that it's definitely a 50-50 fight. I'm not basing my opinion just on 2 rounds from the first fight. That's why it's a 12-round title fight. And even though he looked good in the first 2 rounds, it doesn't guarantee he was going to win that fight. And I'm with you. I thought, even though Shordale Booker wasn't a great opponent, I think it did show that he's starting the fight a little bit more like, his physical attributes sort of would allow. So I think it's going to be a tough fight. I still think Tim Tszyu wins the fight, but it'll be a very close decision in my opinion.
I mean, I want Tim to get in there and destroy him inside of 6 rounds, but we'll see. We'll see. Because
I don't think he stops him. I just think Tim's not a big puncher anyway. He's more of a volume puncher and wears you down. Just the size and that of Fundora, I can't see Tim stopping him.
But I always said that if Tim gets on the inside, he'll break bloody Fundora's ribs for him, because the one thing that Tim's moved away from that he really needs to come back to is that phenomenal body work. He used to crack the crap out of people's midsections, and he moved away from it. So around about the Inouye fight, he stopped attacking the body and he went headhunting. I don't know why he did that, because his body work was phenomenal.
It can happen. Sometimes you get fighters who, they get a couple of highlight reel knockouts and start hurting people, and they just sort of go away from what got them there in the first place. And we saw that with Tim, obviously, in the Bakram Murtazalia fight, where they just forgot that he was in there with an A-grader and went in there and thought he was fighting a Stevie Spark or someone. No disrespect to Stevie Spark, but, he thought or Joel Kamakayo thought he was just going to go in there and just walk through him. And that can happen. Sometimes you're used to just winning your fight so easily against lesser lights, and you come up against someone that's actually A-grader, and that's what happened. So I'm hoping he learned from that. I think the Joey Spencer fight, even though Joey Spencer was hugely disappointing in his performance, I think we saw Tim just get back to, I think, that what he did early in his career by being patient, using a little bit more head movement, setting his opponents or setting his punches up a lot better, and then and doing the job. But I'm, as I said, I think he wins the fight, but it's not going to be easy.
No. I want to see him win the fight so he can get back to a belt. I'm interested to see how long he's going to stay at welterweight, because he said during this Joey Spencer fight that he's struggling to make the weight. He's in his 30s now. And as you know, your body composition becomes a lot more dense once you hit your 30s, especially if you're a bloke. So,
I agree. I would think if he wins this fight, I think they might look around for, maybe some other, notable guys out there. Don't know what happened there. Sorry. You there, mate?
Yeah, mate. Yep. Never lost you.
Sorry, I lost you there for a sec. I think they might look around for maybe, whether there's a Virgil Ortiz or one of those types of guys around. If they can't get one of those fights quickly, I think you'll move to 160, where there's some pretty good fights there for him as well. Lara, Janabek, Adames.
Lara's 154, mate. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Lubin. No, Lara. No, yeah, right. It was Larry Lara.
Yeah, Lara.
Yeah. I think Carlos, whoever the WBC, what's his name? Carlos Adonis or Amos or whatever.
Adames,
yeah. I think that would probably be the one fight to go. Don't go anywhere near, who's old mate that knocked out Mikhailovich?
Janabek.
Yeah, don't go anywhere near him. Oh, that's...
Yeah, he's a killer, isn't he?
I think he will clean Tim's clock for him worse than what Murtazalia did. So I don't think he should wait until he moves up to 168. I don't, because there was a time that both me and T Street thought Tim could pull it off, but after Murtazalia fight, we're just like, oh nah, bloody Janabek will murder him. So
look, I think out of all those, they're not easy. I mean, the 160 pounders division's been sort of in limbo for a while with not much happening. But I've got to say, like, against those guys, I'm with you. I'm not sure whether Janabek's style is good for Tim, that sort of Russian style. But
it's not the style, it's also the power, because...
well, it's a mixture of everything. He's quite fast, and he's just a killer. He's got sort of Golovkin feels about him, hasn't he? So, and then you've got Lara, who's a really slick boxer. I'm not sure he'd be right for Tim either. I think his best bet would actually be Adamas, if I'm being honest.
That's what I said.
Any of those guys.
That's what I said. I think Adamas is the way to go. He's probably the weakest one of the bunch. And you know, boxing's a business at the end of the day. If it makes money, what did Mick Zarafa say to me one day?
If it makes money, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes dollars, it makes sense. Yep, So I'm all for it. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, and finally, George. Now, I've seen a bit of social media that Hitchens might be a little bit scared of George, because George doesn't muck around. George is one of those extremely rare fighters where he's in his element when he's overseas, because his record in Australia is abysmal. He's 0-3 in world title fights, so at home, and that's name me one fighter that's had that poor of a record from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, but he fought some pretty good opposition, though.
Oh, yeah, he fought... Having said that, name me one Australian who's fought consecutively 3 in a row top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. I don't think any Australian's ever done that, ever.
No.
Maybe Lionel Rose back in the 60s. Maybe.
Oh, who knows? But, look, I'm full of admiration for George Kambosos for what he's done and what he's doing. And, yeah,
I love him.
I don't buy... Yeah, I don't buy that Hitchens was scared of Kambosos. I think he was just a bit nervous and that wasn't used to such a big amount of attention on him. And I think that George had a comeback for every single thing he said. I just think George made him look a little bit silly and maybe a little bit to learn as far as the trash talking goes. I don't think by any stretch he'd be scared to fight George Kambosos. And George has got his work cut out for him. I tell you what. I'm sort of getting a little bit of Teofimo Lopez vibes about George, just with his body language and the way he's talking and everything else. I think he'll give a good account of himself. I think his performance will be a lot better than what it was against Lomba and Devin Haney, and he's a good chance to take it. Look, I would still say Hitchens wins the fight, but as I said, I like his body language and what he's saying at the moment. I think he's got a massive opportunity.
Absolutely, but my biggest concern is George is so tiny. I mean, he was a tiny lightweight. He's going to be very, very small 140. I mean, because these guys are cutting down from 160, 165 pounds to make 140. George ain't doing that.
Nah, he's not. He probably walks around at what does he fight?
150?
Probably walks around at 150 or something like that,
Yeah, because I've stood next to him. You have too. We saw him in Perth. You see how tiny he is. He's not a big guy.
So, no, he's not. But look, at the end of the day, though, Hitchens is quite tall with the reach and that sort of stuff. But I think Hitchens' style, I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think that Hitchens will be trying to box George from long range. So I don't think it's a massive thing. It's a bit different if you had Pitbull Cruz or someone coming at you with his strength and power and everything else. That's a bit different. But with Hitchens, I don't think the size difference will be too bad for George.
Well, I mean, there was a massive size difference when he took on Tio, and look what happened. He sat him on his ass in the first round. So
he did, yeah. He did. Well, let's hope that George Kambosos turns up.
And finally today, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I can't believe this is happening. I hope it's not. But bloody Gallen versus Sonny Bill. Oh, my God. This is 10 years too late. I mean, I would have welcomed this fight in 2015 when they were both still playing. They were both active. But when is Australia going to stop digging up 40-year-old plus footballers or 40-year-old plus fighters that last 2 rounds, get hurt, and have to have surgery because, someone's pulled their bicep out of there, torn their bicep or busted their shoulder or their knees? I mean, when are they going to stop? I mean, we don't need Paul Gallen versus Sonny Bill Williams. Who thinks this is a good idea? This is bloody awful.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm strictly an AFL man, mate. I don't know too much about the rugby league thing, but I'm a big rap for Paul Gallen. I really admire the fact that he's come into boxing, or did come into boxing, and wanted to fight, 10 threes and all this sort of stuff, and I get that. Sonny Bill Williams is more of a novelty type of boxer. The fact that he doesn't want to fight 2-minute rounds, it's ridiculous if he wants to call himself a proper boxer. But I'm not against these guys. If they're going to earn $1 million, good on them. As long as they make no secrets about what they're actually doing. If they're trying to pretend it's a proper fight, then there's a few issues. But if it's just purely a money grab and they want to give the fans what they want, I haven't really got a problem with it. But at least fight 3 minutes, boys. Come on. Well, Sonny Bill. Come on, Sonny Bill. Step up and fight 3 minutes, mate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to give Paul Gallen credit because let's be honest, No Limit was built off the back and the fists of Paul Gallen. There's no Paul Gallen.
Yeah.
There's no Limit. There's no if, buts, or maybes. That promotion was built off that man, plain and simple.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, well, you remember Tim Zoo and all of them come up on his cards, didn't they? So.
And Paul did it because that's what Paul wanted to do. He said it numerous times. I'm here to make a paycheck, but more importantly, to give the young fellas exposure so they can build their own careers off the back of mine. And everyone just went, yeah, Paul, and he's absolutely right.
I've never met him, but he looks like a really good guy. And I just, as I said, I really admire him for trying to be a real boxer, not just one of these pretend guys. And, and I'm hoping he gets the win.
It was a novelty act. He knew that, but he gave the sport the respect it's due. Where Sonny Bill was just like, yeah, look at me. Oh, look, I can knock out a bloke who looks like he's been drinking at the pub for the last 6 weeks. I mean, you look at some of the competition that Sonny Bill faced compared to some of the competition Paul Gallen, it doesn't even come close.
Yeah, no, I think Paul Gallen, whether it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes, will beat Sonny Bill from what I've seen. So,
well, I mean, Sonny Bill got knocked out by Mark Hunt. I mean, that, and Paul beat Mark Hunt, but let's be honest, Paul was lucky. I think Mark let him off the hook because in that second round, Mark almost decapitated Paul Gallen. So, well, go back and watch the fight. Mark had him where he wanted him, and for some reason, he let him off the hook. I don't know why, but not in the Sonny Bill fight, there was no letting him off the hook. Mark took Sonny's head off. So
yeah, he did.
And I've never met Paul or Sonny. I've never been a fan of Sonny Bill Williams professionally. I can't say anything personally because I've never met him, but I always thought he was overhyped. Yeah, he was a big, strong, muscly bloke, made out of chisel, but he couldn't tackle to save himself. He was carried by the Bulldogs. Then he went to Union and the All Blacks carried him for 10 years. He come back to the Roosters. He was carried again. I mean, he's a glory. Like, you see him 10 metres outside the try line, he'll run over and score a try. But against the other side, when he's got the opposition's coming at his try line, he's nowhere to be seen. He's not making a try-saving tackle. So...
yeah, you're talking to the wrong person about try-saving tackles and all that sort of stuff, mate. I don't have a clue.
The rugby league fans out there, they'll know what I'm saying is that Sonny Bill, he'll crash over when it's 10 metres out, but he ain't making no try-saving tackles. So I never thought much of him. So, and I mean, he's like a boxer, and he's not much of a boxer either. Yes, he's a novelty. He's great to look at, right? But he really can't fight. I mean, let's be honest. So...
okay, I'll take your word for it as far as the rugby stuff goes.
League, mate, it's not bloody rugby. How many times?
Oh, sorry, rugby league. Sorry.
How many times have I told you the difference? Bloody hell.
Yeah, sorry. I apologise to all the rugby league fans out there.
Yeah, bloody hell, mate. But excellent chat, mate. Is there anything else?
No worries, mate.
Anything else we wanted to add to this? I think we've covered all of it.
I think we're good. Yep.
I think we're good. We've covered everything. Mate, I mean, Australian boxing... Oh, actually, I've got an interesting question for you because you're a bit older than me, right? What do you think was the monumental year for boxing? What do you think was the biggest year in boxing? In your opinion, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this.
The biggest year, what, in Australian boxing or just in general?
No. In Australian boxing, where Australia had the biggest events, like it was the year...
Last year.
You reckon?
2023, yep.
Okay. I'd have to disagree, but okay, what's your... Because I know we had 20-something title fights.
Yeah, we had 20 all fighters in 20 title fights, and I actually... You're talking about the biggest year or the most successful year?
No, I'm talking about the year where people go, yeah, that's the year that Australian boxing really shone. Like,
I reckon last year, 2024.
You reckon? All right.
Yeah, what do you obviously disagree? What do you think?
2022, because we had not one but two... undisputed world title fights in Australia by a born and bred Aussie. We had Ebony Bridges win her title. I mean, the less said about her, the better, but she did win a title. Jai got up that year. He got he got his massive win, which was the anniversary of Jeff getting up against Pacquiao. I think 2022, for the significance, and I'm surprised you said last year, I thought you would have said 1985 when Lester, Jeff, and Barry Michael will come onto the scene. I literally thought you would have said 1985.
Yeah. Oh, look, they're probably the most memorable. But you're looking at relevance. I mean, with all due respect to Jeff and Lester with those titles, the guys they beat for those titles were equivalent to like IBO or something these days. I'm not nothing against him because especially Jeff went on to some massive things, but. I'm just looking as a whole as far as Australian boxing goes, and we had 20 fights featuring Australians in them, but we weren't overly successful in all those fights. But the fact that we're in so many fights during the year, in so many places, that's what I thought. But you're right, 2022 was up there, and even what was at the end, start of 23, Jason won his title.
Jason defended; he won it in 22.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, because he defended against the Mexican bloke in Canada.
No, he didn't. No, I was there. I was there in Stockton when he won in against Astro IBO. That was in May of 23.
Oh, no, you're right, yeah. And he defended it the next year, which would have been last year, against the Mexican bloke in Canada.
Suarez, I think it was, or I think that was him. Was that him? Can't remember.
No, I think his name was Saul Sanchez, wasn't it?
Sanchez. Sorry. Yeah, you're right, Sanchez. Yeah. But you look at that year as well, I mean, I know it didn't end well for Andy at the MGM, but to have Jason fighting on a top-ranked card for the world title the week after Andrew on the undercard of Haney and Lomachenko, I mean, that was a massive time as well. And then we had George in Oklahoma, and it was a big year. But I don't know. I think just as far as the amount of activity for Aussie boxing, that's why I said 2024. But yeah, you're right. 22 were probably a bit more successful.
Yeah, well, more significant too, because. When's the next time you reckon we're going to have an undisputed fight on Australian shores? I mean, the last one was Kostya versus Jesse James. That was 2003, and Kostya's a Russian. So
yeah, I think the best hope we've got is probably Jai, maybe, would it? I'm thinking.
If Jai can get over... My concern is the only threat to Jai is Zurdo Ramirez. He'll blast everyone else out of there. So that's the only concern. I mean... What's old mate who just picked one? He's Bodu Jack, I think, is too old. He's 40. He's like 41. So I think Jai takes care of him. It's Zurdo Ramirez, I think, is the only threat to Jai at this point in time.
Yeah. I think Ramirez against Jai would be a lot like the Breeders' fight, where Jai would probably jump out to a lead and then probably have to hang on a little bit down the stretch, I would think.
But yeah, it'd be a hell of a fight, and I would be looking forward to it.
Would be, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, mate, I've taken enough of your time. I really appreciate you joining us here on the show, mate. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out Lynden's channel at
Deep Dive.
Boxing Deep Dive. Mate, I'll talk to you on Monday as always.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for joining us here, mate.
All right, mate. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, bye. The Great Lynden Hosking there, guys. So, as always, like, subscribe, drop a comment in the comment section. Tackle the ball, wrestle croc, harden yourselves the fuck up. Have yourselves a great day.